Oh, man, I tell you. Well, the first thing I have to do is make sure that the audio is in sync because that's something that plagued me for a bit. Hmm. These devices, I tell you. Oh, man. This site can drive me crazy sometimes. Okay, it looks like we're good. But yeah, I was supposed to stream on Saturday. I had every intention to stream on Saturday, but around the time I was going to start, I laid down and I went to sleep. Um, and it's been a pretty long time, if I do say so myself, since that's happened where I'm like, I call myself laying down just to get some supposed rest, and I just like pass out from pure exhaustion. Uh, yeah, it's just been a pretty grueling last couple of weeks because they've increased my hours at my job, which I'm glad about. But because on Friday they have me there from 4 until like almost 12 in the morning. The way it used to work is that on Friday I would sleep like in the afternoon, evening portion, maybe for like 4 hours, 3 hours, so that when it would be, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning on Saturday, I wouldn't feel terribly tired, like to the point where I just couldn't even, um, you know, move, or I guess rather it was a thing I said before. I sleep in shifts, so I slept a little bit during the afternoon on Friday, and it made the other days not as it made the other days more tolerable, I should say. I got this one spam email from somebody. They said their name is I'm not gonna say the name, but it's the name of like a relative I have, and at first I thought it was them, uh, until I remember they don't type that well. So, and they also wrote like, "Oh, this is part of a fundraiser." I'm like, okay. I I'm gonna try to see if I can do one this Saturday as well. Even though it's that same thing, right? The 4 to almost 12 in the morning deal, but I'll see about trying to find a way to either. Maybe I'll start even earlier. Like when I get back, it's usually around 1 or 2, and I take my shower. I'll probably like do it right after that, and then depending on how early the other person goes to sleep. Ugh. And then from there, we can probably try to see if I can cram some more of this in there. But yeah, it's been quite a week, I tell you. There have been some very crazy revelations, some very strange things. People have said stuff, and then you find out like 2 seconds later it's not accurate. It's been real fascinating to just kind of watch in real time stuff go in directions I didn't expect it to. And there have been a lot of people who have been, they say one thing and then do something else. That's their favorite hobby. They're like, "Oh yes, I really like you," and then like 2 days later, no response, no reply, nothing. Just it's impressive just how much people lie. Like they lie over things that aren't even necessary. Just and you see it so much. we're at a point now where somebody would rather tell you a lie. Or like if you ask me what their favorite color is, they'd rather lie about it, and then like 5 seconds later, you see them on the phone saying, "Oh, you know my favorite color is this other one." It's like, okay, why did you say it was like it's over stuff that just isn't even that big of a deal. Like in the grand scheme of things, like you just can't tell the truth. Just weird, man. People are always like, especially a certain kind of person, but we'll get into that later. Um, People are always just willing to present things in ways that aren't necessary, I should say. Also, last night I cut my hand twice. I it was cut by one of the things I was washing, like on this like top part, and then it's like right in between on one of the fingers. It's like in between the nail and the finger itself, where like when you would like bend down on it, you can feel it, the pain from it. Like I said, the thing now is that I'm so used to mm, the injuries from here that it just sort of it's like whatever. Like I've just become used to when you go up there, prepare to get hurt or physically have something happen that's not enjoyable or preferable. It's like that's just a foregone conclusion at this point. Yeah, this stuff is I it's interesting how like sometimes when you do a job you can kind of see the stuff that made people not want to do it, like just when you're as you're doing it and you're kind of becoming frustrated or irritated by something, and during those closing periods they have a lot of stuff to finish cleaning, and it makes sense to me that they've had a hard time getting people to stay on that type of stuff. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I'm more personally frustrated with them or me, because after I did part 5 of the documentary, I was so excited because I was like, "Oh man, part 6, here we go, here we go, here." And I wrote a lot of it in the immediate I guess days and weeks afterwards, where I was thinking we could get another one in less than a month, but now I'm not so sure because we're like 4 days away from it being a month since part 3 came out, and while the script for part 3 since part 5 came out, and while the script for part 6 is mostly done, I don't think I can record it and edit it all within the span of a few days. Like I don't know. I'll try, but again, it's like even if it does take a full month to make one part, this part is still seemingly going to be the longest one out of any of them, and it's like I said, it's the gap is still going to be shorter than the one between 4 and 5. So there are some benefits to this. I'm trying. That's all I can say. I know that if I didn't have to, do another job, I probably could have finished it a week ago. But it is what it is. So that's the update. Then after part 6 is done, I'll either do LBJ, excuse me, either Nixon part 1 or FDR part 2. Because the FDR part 2 script was mostly done. I just abandoned it because nobody watched the first part. So I was like, all right, this is stupid. But yeah, it'll be one of those. Sometimes things can be more difficult than they should be, than they have any right to be. That's always a sad part that I find, like just how much how the how frustrating things can be when you're trying to do stuff, and it just seems like you're constantly, here's a piece of this today, a piece of that tomorrow. Because I really do like days where I can just do something in bulk, Like I'm looking at this script right now. Um, let's see here. And there's about 3 sections of pages I still have to go over and either insert things from or make sure I even, the information there is needed or that it flows together. It's at the start and then some more stuff that's kind of like in that it's a lot of it's in the earlier part of it, but most of it is done. I can report that. So uh best case scenario, I can finish writing the rest of it by this weekend and get it into the editing stages, I'd say within the last few days of the month. That's probably my most likely scenario. I was hoping to insert some more illustrations in there, especially when you're talking about the Baker scandal, because that's going to be another focus of the another featured segment in there. But I don't know. Some of this stuff can just be really irritating. That's all I can say. I'm just thinking about the further aspects of it because I know part 7 would probably adapt the last section of Carol's 2012 book, and then after that, I probably would get subscriptions to the Washington Post and New York Times and all the rest of those print sources for a lot of the information about the rest of the presidency. Like I have Dalek's second volume, but I still would probably try to get some other places as well. So yeah, this stuff gets real intricate. I'm just thinking I think at maximum this is gonna be 11 parts, maybe 12. I just have to see how many how I decide to format the actual presidency. Those sections are gonna be a little more crazier to do. It's because every writer has like their own spin on it in terms of just putting things in chronological order, or they skip over certain stuff, see it as superfluous. It's just one of those things where you can't really tell who cares about this or who thinks that's significant. It's just these events, man, they get all types of confusing. Yeah, there's a lot of just weird stuff that goes on now. Man. Yeah, when you're writing stuff, there's always some aspect of it you probably don't like as much as the rest. But I don't know, it's interesting to see how like in that first couple of days, there's a lot of writing, just writing, 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 and then it's like as you get closer to the end of it, you start to slow walk it a bit. Like, wow, this isn't suddenly so far away anymore. I don't know. When I get back from the job, I just don't feel like doing that much of stuff. I like to have a little moment of leisure. Because the problem is, ever since I got a car, it's just it's like even on a day where you don't work, there's still all these side quests and submissions and can you do this for me? Can you pick this thing up for me? Can you go over here? Can you just it's annoying. And the problem with one of these people is that they have this belief that if you're not working on this particular day, you're just doing nothing, as they would like to describe it in such a belittling way. But really, it just comes down to sometimes a person would just like to rest and they're not respectful of that decision or that idea. They don't like, to them, that's almost like speaking another language. So it is what it is. But I'm never too terribly surprised when we see the lack of empathy that goes through a lot of these people. Just, I tell you, they don't view um, others as equals who have feelings and desires, and you know all the other things that come with being people. They look at many of their contemporaries as beneath them. That's why they're fine with, oh, you work at 6 to 1 or 5 to 1 or some other later part of the day. Well, I want you to get up at 6 in the morning for me. Like, the hell? But they don't care. They just view it as, you do this for me, you do this, you do that. And this is why I said, I hope one day, and like, I've said before, I have no desire to be rich. I have no desire to, I would at a minimum just prefer to have enough finances to where I wouldn't have to worry every month, oh, can I pay this? That would be like just what would satisfy me. But if there was ever a desire on my part to be more well in what's the word to describe it, more well off than I currently am, it would be to just live alone and not have to put up with, someone else acting like they own everything because they pay something. Because we discussed before how, like, I saw in real time that these jerks like really do move the goalposts. Like, if you're not paying anything, oh well, I can do whatever I like. And then if you pay something, oh, you don't pay as much as me, so it's like it doesn't matter. That's why last Saturday was so obnoxious. Like, you pay all this stuff and they still think they can tell. I just, oh boy, some aggravating bastards, man. Really, really irritating. Like, I'm so much happier when they're not around. It's not even funny. The whole tone of the play, like the week they were gone, I was just celebrating. The whole tone of the place becomes very lighter, and there isn't this sense of foreboding when you come back during the day. I don't feel that way during the night because they're usually asleep, but just when you come back during that, latter part of the day, you don't have to worry about, oh, this person is gonna start pestering me with 90 questions and can you do this for me and can you do this? I hate that so much. It's just annoying. And then you see, even from day before yesterday, they still have this whole thing of like trying to get something out of you. As before, like, the reason I don't feel like accommodating them that much, or just don't, it doesn't bother me to just to their face, like, no, I'm not doing this, is because when you know that someone can never be satisfied ever, there's no incentive to care. Like, there's nothing there that makes you go, oh man, I need to make sure that they're not bothered by my conduct or ethics or whatever other manner of thing I'm doing. Because look at how they can treat somebody else. Like, look at how you can do this stuff and then 10 seconds later they're insulting you, they're yelling at you. Like, this is dumb. That you shouldn't put yourself in a position where you even have to, put up with that. It's crazy. Like, they're extremely insensitive to the needs of anyone else around them. Everything is me, 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 me. People always want to call somebody whatever, whatever about not being with a woman, but honestly, you can see why this person's relationships have all failed. I get it. You can see why they can date somebody for 10 years, and even after such a long time of supposedly being a couple, the man will never put a ring on their finger. It's like, yeah, nobody wants to be around that. Nobody wants to sit there and every day have someone nagging them over all types of stuff that just it's not a big deal. Like, this person didn't take the trash out today. Okay. So what? Oh, this person didn't fold a blanket. Okay. Just, just stupid stuff, man. And that's been my biggest problem. I said none of this stuff has to do with advancing the plot. Like, if you're gonna sit here and be fine that somebody doesn't have any, like, and when I say be fine, it's like not do anything about someone not having a job, or you know, being afraid that they won't be able to eat this month. Like, it's literal insanity. The stuff that gets like prioritized and made to be this big deal, and the things that the person couldn't care less about. It should be the reverse. I tell you, we see a lot of instances that continue to confirm that we live in the damn twilight zone. Everything is so backwards. Oh, I'm telling you, like, when you go back to, I don't think I ever would write an autobiography or anything, but just I'm fascinated by the idea that I can remember from back when I was a kid, like the whole obsession with clothes and all this other like physical appearance stuff, and then it's so funny because like you'd have people that would say they were worried about, and I say people, it's like the same two, three stupid relatives. But like you would have them say, "Oh, I'm so worried about this because, you know, if you don't have it this way or that way, you're going to be perceived in this manner, and that supposedly is going to cause you to be less successful." Some whole like spiel about how important it was. But then you look at essential things that a person needs: food, gas, getting a job, and the fact that these people couldn't lift one finger to assist you with that in most cases. And you're like, what? So it was all a lie. There was no concern. That's why I call it fake love, because it doesn't make sense to me to prioritize the things that they do and to ignore the things that they do. Just it's all. That's why I said it's all backwards. Everything is just inverted. I think this will probably be another afternoon, evening like that, where you get up in the morning, right, and then you go and run your little stupid errands. Then you go back to sleep, and then do something else, and then whatever, whatever. But yeah, it'll be another instance of that happening. Now, my favorite new comments are the ones where people are like, "Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you." That's one of the new things they like to leave comments about. I'm like, man, listen, uh, it is possible for me to go into my editor and bump the audio up 3 times what it already was. But the problem I have with doing that is when you don't have people who consistently watch the stuff that churn out each week, it just seems kind of pointless to me to put in the extra effort when people can't even click, the button to even watch it. So it's like, what's the point? No, audio issues are always a thing that people complain about. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. That's their favorite song to sing about. Like I said, it's no big deal to me because they don't even watch anyway, so it don't matter. There's just so much. constant like complaining and nagging. And it goes on pretty incessantly too. Like just every I'd say every couple of days, every week, every few weeks. I don't know. I think probably for tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow because there's going to be some other news story most likely. But on the weekend, I'll probably put up for Sunday. I'll probably put up like another one of those what if type videos. Like how the one guy said he thinks that Britt is going to be the GOP's nominee in 2028. I said it's really crazy to me to think that because he was saying they're going to forget about her State of the Union speech. Like I guess that could happen, maybe, but do I really think this one-term senator is going to like climb up the ranks that fast? And I'll make the point in the video that this lady just got elected to the Senate not even 2 years ago, so she's going to be in a situation similar to what Rubio was in back in 2016, where it's like, do you want to run for re-election for the Senate or gamble it all on this presidential election? And I just can't see someone as ambitious as her, seemingly as ambitious as her, I should say, because we don't know if those are her intentions, but I can't see her saying, forget securing 6 more years of national prominence to chase after this election cycle that might end with my defeat or destruction. I think what might happen is if she does decide to run, she'll have some kind of she'll do what was it? I think Biden and Booker did the same thing where it's like you find a way to run for re-election for the Senate and for uh president or vice president at the same time, change the state laws. Hmm. God, things are so crazy. But no, I've watched a lot of insanity from these people. Just, and I think she's pretty up there in terms of like she's good at sounding normal, like rational, but um just actually observing her, it's like I see the wickedness. I see the policy proposals where I'm like, are you serious? So it'll be fun to talk about her prospects at some point. I don't know. I like those far out predictions because it's the kind of stuff where it's so early on that you're like, there's a really good chance none of this could end up happening. But then if it does end up happening, then it's even funnier, uh, or it takes on like a renewed meaning. Yeah, this stuff can be real real interesting. And it is fascinating that she just completely dwarfed Tuberville. Like he doesn't get mentioned at all, other than something like weird and stupid that he does, like going to that trial. But he got completely skipped over for Brit. She just absorbs all the attention. But no, I don't have a problem with editing stuff. I just want to like for me, I have to think it's something important or like really crazy and like want to just have it in there as well so you can see it for yourself so that I can like look the video up manually. But I usually only am reserved of how many times I do it a week or regularly because I'm always worried about, are people actually going to watch this? Are they actually checking this out? Are they actually, et cetera, et cetera. When I don't think they are, and I'm less likely to do it. Of course, if I do a documentary, I do all the editing, but that still is like not like a daily thing. That sometimes isn't even a monthly thing. I'm trying at a minimum to do at least one a month, like one part a month. Oh man. But no, at this point, the big four I would do are probably I've been consistent. It would be Roosevelt, Johnson, Nixon, and Carter. Mm. I think for the sake of not being driven insane, I probably would try to do um at least Nixon all the way up until uh, it could be 68, but just I would make sure I did enough of his to where I wouldn't think, oh man, this is going nowhere. Like most of the stuff before the presidency, which I think should be about 4 or 5 parts. Because for me, the biggest part of his life that I find interesting, in that, like, before he took office, is probably the 6 years between when he loses the California governor race in '62 against Pat Brown, and then just when he tries again for president. Just because it's like he's really in this period of I am done. Like I'm not even bothering with this anymore. Like yeah, I'll campaign for some other people, but I'm out. This person said the US is such a right leaning country. I said, well, I mean, the problem is you poll people and they will say, oh, 50, 60% like this, but then they still vote for people who don't support those things. So I wouldn't even doubt the polling. I would just say that people might like something in practice or in theory, but when it comes to like actually trying to get it to become a law or supporting people that support it or opposing people who don't support it, they don't really, they don't tend to be as focused on it as you would think. It's kind of like whatever, just it is what it is, which is really unfortunate. Also, it's been real fun to look at the returns for all these Spider-Man movies that keep getting re-released. Homecoming really surprised me this week. I was not expecting for it to make only, I think it was 280,000 in the first day, the lowest grossing of the films released. So like I did not expect it to do worse than TASM 2. That was a big shock to me. I thought the TASM 2 theaters would be empty, but it pulled in something. I was telling this guy on Discord, I said to him that what you're seeing is what happens when movies have no lasting cultural impact whatsoever. So like when Homecoming and Far From Home came out, everybody was like, "Oh my, oh wow, new Spider-Man movie. I can't wait to see it. It was the it thing, right? Because it was the new summer blockbuster. It's the kind of stuff you just go with your kid or your girlfriend or family friendly little entertainment. But it's all like, and it's not. I don't think it's bad. It's just kind of hollow. It doesn't really have anything in there where you're like, man, this is something that is revolutionary. I haven't seen before. Which is why I said that these movies might have made a lot of money when they came out initially, but come 2 years later, 5 years later, nobody is lining up to watch that stuff in theaters again. It gets watched a lot when it first comes out, and after that, it's forgotten. Uh, like I never really hear anyone talk about Homecoming and Far From Home of their own like free will in terms of just, oh, these were such great films that had this like character arc for people. No, usually what happens is they're talking about the MCU in general, and they're like, oh yeah, then they brought in Spider Man, but they don't really discuss like those films being good on their own. It's like they're part of it. They were successful in large part because they're starring the most profitable superhero ever, and they're in the most successful movie franchise ever. But those two factors together, a great film does not make. Or rather, those two factors alone, a great film does not make. So that's why you see how, even though when they came out, oh, this made $1 billion, this made 900, 800,000, 800 million rather. Here we are just a few years later. People are not jumping to go and see those again because they're just uh substanceless entertainment. They come out every few years. You laugh, get invested a little bit when you're watching, and after that, it's done. You're finished with it. It's over. The only one of those I would try to see in theaters again, besides the Raimi trilogy, is probably No Way Home, and we already know the reason for that. I do suspect No Way Home will probably be the only one out of those. I guess out of the stuff post Tasm that actually makes like 500K in the first day. Mm. But the rest of that stuff, you can forget it. People are not watching. They're like, man, this is dumb. They're taking a real long time to get this supposed No Way Home sequel going. To me, that's actually the funniest thing. Like the idea of having some movie that's meant to like reset the clock, right? And open up this new status quo, and then you just never deliver on it. Like you just keep delaying doing another movie until the main actor is like, you know what, forget this. That would be the funniest thing ever if that's because everybody was like so excited, like, oh man, the status quo has been changed. Like, yeah, I guess, but we don't know what that entails. We haven't seen any stuff with this character since it happened. It's been over 2 years. No, the only one of those that's going to do well, I think, is No Way Home. I'm still like when I saw Homecoming did the worst. I was surprised. I said, "Where's all the Holland fans? Where did they go? Where did the Holland fans go for his movie? The money doesn't flow." I'm just wondering. Everybody's like, "Oh, Far From Home made $1 billion." Well, let's see how many millions it makes next week. No, I'll be real fascinated to see the performances of this stuff because there's a lot of movies that if you put them in theaters again, I would go and see them. Like if you put Iron Man in theaters, I'd go see that again. Um, if you were to put which one, really any of the Avengers films, I'd probably see it again. You know, it's a matter of if I liked it the first time, I'll like it again. Oh boy. No, I'm very disappointed with the way a lot of these people act. But I have noticed at the job there are people that just come and leave. Like they come and start working there, and then after like a month or a few weeks, they're gone. Like the one lady that hugged me, she left after I think a month or so. They had her working in the front, and then she just kind of flipped, and jumped out of there. And then there was this one guy who was real dead set on figuring out who my enemy up there was, and he also left. So there's been a lot of departures. Can't really say it's anything I'm too surprised by. They when they only give people 1 day a week or 2 days a week, they tend to revolt. I mean, I've mentioned like I started looking for another job about a week or two, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and what happened is that they stopped. They went from only giving me 3 days a week to giving me four, and then now five for the next few weeks. So I delayed my search. But if they didn't do that, I was all dead set and ready to look for something else. I wasn't going to quit. I was just going to try to see if I could, adjust it in such a way I could work somewhere else like a few days a week and then there the other few days. Told them I don't know what happened. I went from getting 4 days off each week, 3 days off each week to now it's like every other day you go drive to the other city. Said I don't know what happened. Maybe someone up there likes me. Maybe someone changed their mind, but I'm not complaining. Only thing I'm complaining about is cutting up my damn hands, but that's a separate issue. Boy. Yeah, you never know what people want with a lot of this stuff. Oh, as I said before, the biggest issue nowadays is that there's just not a consistent amount of sympathy. Like the problem with working in the latter part of the day and living with these jerks is that they're not mindful of the fact that somebody works at night. They don't really care, so they expect you to like get up and do things in the morning when you're trying to rest for the afternoon or evening. It's really frustrating. That's why I say over here empathy is one sided. You're supposed to just jump through hoops for everybody, but if you want anything from them, it's too much. Now and forever. I get so tired of people just constantly looking for something to complain about. But no, I was just saying that we really seem to be in kind of a right wing mood. I mean, even if people are calling themselves like against a lot of these policies, like overturning Roe, you still don't. I guess just in terms of like how many seats the GOP has in Congress and the very realistic chance that they have of winning back the White House this year, I it feels like we'll never be able to get to a point where they just get crushed and wiped out in all these different cycles. But beyond that, it's like every time I see, for example, the media covering some politician, it tends to be the right leaning ones. Like I hear way more about MTG and Noam and Lake and like I hear more about them than any of the like squad members, for example. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think when you attract controversy for yourself or to yourself, it's a lot easier to get attention than someone who might be supposedly a serious legislator or trying to push an issue, which is unfortunate because um, that's the kind of stuff that leads to a lot. Like I said before, name recognition is a big part of even being able to do any of the national stuff. So when they don't talk about you, you're basically getting like blacked out from existence, and like it's harder to push the things you want. And that's why, as much as people have had their issues with Sanders, he's really the only, I'd say, truly left leaning person with the profile to do a lot of the stuff that he does up to this point, anyway. Like, I don't, even if we get to 2028, I don't see Talib or Omar or AOC or any of, Bowman or any of them running for president. So they're going to still be these, or any other like higher office. So they're most likely going to still be these like lesser known Congress people that have a little clique of fans that, you know, besides when they get into some kind of controversy with in terms of like, oh, this person said this or they had an argument here, people mostly are not going to think about them or talk about them, which is going to make it again harder for them to push any of the stuff that they want to see supposedly happen. So I said, this stuff is just a circus. No, when you get that name recognition as a politician, it seems to never go away. Like I hear more about Lake, the loser of the Arizona governor election, than the actual governor herself, which I think is really backwards. Yeah, they always have some weird ads on TV. There's a lady at a computer, and then some baby throws, I guess, oh, it's a Tide ad, some food on her, and it gets all dirty. They always try to show you these commercials like, oh, if you just bought this, you would your whole thing would be so clean, so clean. Like, yeah, if you say so. Commercials are so fascinating because they have this extremely short time to promote something, and they do things in ways that are kind of, I don't want to say they're weird, but they have to be attention grabbing. No, I can still remember commercials from 10 years ago, just all the little weird things you would see. It's just such a bizarre era. And I was saying that what ends up happening when you work somewhere for so long, like 6 months over here, is that you start to kind of get, I don't want to say tangled in their web, but I'm uh I'm not afraid to admit the fact that I'm a lot less willing to try working somewhere else because I'm worried that this new place or other place might do what has been done to me so many times in the past, where you start working there, they say you're good for the first few days, weeks, whatever, and then after a while they're just like, get out of here. You're not moving at the standard we're looking for, or whatever other little dumb, hire the fire scheme they're playing. Because I've seen that happen before. And even though this place broke that pattern, I mean, I'm constantly like just waiting for the day where, I get that call. Or and I even thought I was gonna get that call back in February when, that thing happened. So I'm never surprised to be on the out. No, you had the head clown molecule splitter talking about don't mess with girls at work. I'm like, it's interesting. He doesn't say don't mess with guys at work because he knows that men don't do the weird stuff that these chicks do. Like I've had about 6 or 7 different males that work there either asked me for their number or the other way around, and I've driven 3 of them back to their place or given 3 of them a ride, had no issue with a single one of them, nothing at all. I went to see a movie with one of them. I went to the mall with another one. No problem with any guy that works there that I've been involved with outside of there. Not a single issue. But you listen to a guy like that, it's always my fault. Because my conduct with the males is no different from the one with the chicks. Hey, can I message you? Hey, want to hang out? The difference is the guys actually do it. The chicks play games. They suddenly become the busiest people in the world. Let me check my itinerary. Yes, a guy. Hey, you want to hang out on tomorrow night? Yeah, sure, whatever. Or oh, I can't do it tomorrow, but maybe can we do it Thursday or whatever? With chicks. Hey, you want to hang out tomorrow? Let me check my schedule. It's like, lady, come on. I wouldn't even try to like do it that quickly. I would make like ask several days in advance, which is done on purpose because it's like you would know your schedule or have enough time to arrange it in such a way as to not cause the issue. So like for example, if on my schedule, if somebody goes and says to me on Monday, "Hey, can we do this on Friday, I can look at my schedule for the job and know I'm not working on Friday. I am working Friday, but just like, hypothetical, I say Friday like it's not tomorrow. But just I'm saying that if you ask in advance far enough, the person should be able to look and see what they're doing and be like, all right, well, I guess we can do this. I guess we can split the dime. So I said no man up there has done anything weird at all. I have at least 6 or 7 different guys' phone numbers. We've been getting along. Uh I mean, hell, I even have 2 different ones that expect me to call them today. So no man over there has had any issue with me, and I've appreciated the company of several of them. So that's why I said it's not a Justin thing. It's a chick thing. Walking, talking poison, man. That's why, in large part, I mostly don't even speak to them anymore. Like, other than the high and buy, outside of some of the managers, it's like high and buy because it's too dangerous. With a lot of the guys, me and them have like I have like little jokes with them, little running gags. How are you? I haven't seen you in so long. My fears that you left have been alleviated. Et cetera, et cetera. We just get along. I appreciate that. And I do notice that the only times I actually got in any kind of trouble over there were in trying to be nice. So I just don't think that's a coincidence. I think if you keep to yourself, stay away from the group that is most determined to see you fall, you should be all right. Because ever since that thing happened, I've been dodging them. I've been ducking them. There's still one or two that seep through the cracks that might get me to kind of like be a little bit more talkative with, right? But as far as hey, you want to like actually do anything else? No, no, never again. Mm, that was a one-time thing. Now, if it had gone in a good way, it could have been more than once. I would make a request like that, but since it backfired and blew up in my face so badly, then I'm not going to be caught in the same trap. Because the way that works is that the first time it happens, you can at least say, okay, I didn't expect it, but whatever, whatever. But if you let it happen a second time, then you look dumb. You look like the person who didn't learn their lesson. No, after that thing, I got cured once and for all of wanting to be anything with any of those. Well, we'll get into that later. Just there, I try to stay away from them at this point. Not the guys. Me and them get along well. Which I think is really crazy because I don't see the way I speak to them as being any differently. I'm actually a lot, like I said, I'm a lot more um talkative with the males, which you would think would be like a bigger issue because it's like, oh, they make all these jokes and they say whatever, whatever. But no, it's only that's why I said I know it's not me. I know that there's something inside of the other side that is not good, not decent, not humane. Um, just really bad. Man, I tell you. I will say I did have one coworker that I really did not like when I started there, but they've been growing on me a little bit. Not all the way because I'm still kind of like wondering about certain stuff they're going to try to do, but we're certainly get along better than we were initially. Mm. Actually, for the way I usually do is if I don't like someone, I just don't speak to them outside of when I'm obligated to. Like, hey, they told me to tell you. Da, 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 da. That's the way me and my arch enemy are at this point. We just don't say anything. But it's even like more restrictive where you don't even look at the person. You just like there is a true animosity there that I have very seldom seen between coworkers. Just the absolute level of contempt that is not normal. And again, I do feel bad that it got to where it went, but I know that I did everything I could to salvage it for a pro a much longer time than I really should have given it. And when somebody wants to go down that route with you, if they're determined to have it be that way, there's not really much you can do. I guess I could introduce the topic, but I was hoping one of them would show up, but if they don't, I'll probably save it for Saturday. I just don't understand the point of being a parent if you don't do anything for your offspring. Like I believe that whether your kid is 5 or 25, the main person they should be able to depend on or rely on for supposed help would be the person that brought them into this world. I believe that. If you can't do that, then what's even the point of having kids? Like honestly, it's like, wow, I can't wait to have a son so I can not talk to them for a year and sit in one room while they sit in the other room and not say anything to them, not do anything with them, only ever come up to them when I want something from them. Yeah, terrific. We said before, what really happens is people just, it's all part of the mundane existence. Like they don't have any like long-term goals. So when they're dating their little stupid partner and they get knocked up, they're like, well, I guess I might as well have this. And they get mad at me for being blunt about it, but I said, I've seen you know, couples time and time again, not married, have kids, and then after they have a kid, the before the kid's even born, they despise each other. This is not the foundation for a successful offspring. It's just another continuation of the same uh laziness that I really don't like. And sometimes I really sit back and I think about all the like past instances where I've talked about like wanting a family and it's sad to know that I have seen in just in these interactions with these different chicks when you sit them down and you tell them, "Hey, listen, if you had a romantic partner, would you at some point want to get married?" And that person says yes. And then you say, okay, well, if your partner wanted to have a family, would you consent to this? And that person either says no directly or they're like, well, I don't know, or et cetera, et cetera. And I mentioned that this guy like criticized me, said that I'm the only person he knows that starts talking about that in the initial stages. And I said, dude, I'm not going to sit here and waste my time getting involved with this individual for weeks or months and then they don't have the same long-term goals as me because when you find out that person doesn't want the same things as you after a year or however long of speaking then you wasted all this time for nothing. And trust me, we've seen them be unable to do things that are much smaller in consequence like having a phone call to where I have no confidence in their ability to even be receptive to that stuff anyway. Because look at all the smaller stuff you could want that person can't do. So I'm always upfront about, look, if you don't want this, we don't have to start this. But I realized a lot of them don't have any actual thoughts about those types of things. They just kind of, they go and they date their little stupid partner and they think they're in love, right? And then they have their kid that they didn't plan. And then the guy breaks up with them. So they put the guy on child support and the kid has the, crappy one parent household where, it's just, it's lousy, man. It's just lousy, and it's a cycle that repeats itself over and over. Like, we're going to get to a point where there are flying cars and people are still going to be so stupid and primitive as to have kids with someone that they're not serious about being with. They've been doing this for over 30 years. They're going to keep doing it. And no matter how many times they see someone else make that mistake, they keep it going over and over and over and over again. And I explained that, this stuff can really get me upset because it's like, you don't have to be either the kid in the equation or the man in the equation or the woman in the equation. You can just be an outside person related to these people and they drag you down with them. Oh, this guy that you had this kid with happens to no longer have a vehicle to pick their kid up. Well, now you have to do it. Oh, this guy that you had this kid with now lost his job, so he can't afford to like get his kids some food from school. Well, now this other person who's not the kid's parent has to, just like that. That's what I'm saying. That it's not even just about when you can be personally affected by something without being the culprit or the main one of the like central people to it. And people always talk about you're supposed to love your mother and your father and all. It's like, but your mother's if you have a dad that's awful, blame your mother. That's who she picked. Nobody held a pistol to her to her head and said, "You must date this man." No, she wanted that man. And now that she sees his failures to do the things that she thought he was going to do, uh, you know, you're the one that's crippled by it. She's the one that put you in that burning building. Mm. Yeah, I would rather never have any family or offspring if it means that it has to be with some woman I'm not married to that is just going to put me on child support. Uh, or that knows I work at night and then nags me to get up in the morning for whatever reason. Like, it's crappy. It is. I said before, there's so much good that can come out of people having like children. Like if they're actually serious about it, right? I always picture the married couple with the I don't want to say the picket fence, but just you know when they have the same goal of we're actually trying to create something for ourselves. That's why both of us work. That's why both of us pay for this stuff. Uh, but again, the problem with the feminist era that we live in is that it's not. It's feigning equality where you want the man to assume traditionally masculine roles of taking care of their partner and going out and approaching, etc., etc. But then you also want the woman to be seen as an equal when nothing that you preach is about equality. The courts tend to favor the mother, no matter how crappy she in and of herself may be. Um, and you look at a lot of this stuff with these horrible relationships, it's mostly, we said before, it's much more difficult for a man to get a date than the other way around. So I just think it's fascinating how they can't make up their minds about what they want. It's all just they do like aspects of the supposed patriarchy. They just don't want to admit it or acknowledge it, at least directly. They use a lot of little subtle things to dodge addressing this stuff. But yeah, I was sitting back one day and I said, all these couples, right? All these couples, and I don't I see them often enough to where I hear about them or somebody else talks about them or maybe I glimpse them. And even if I've noticed about maybe 2, 3 new marriages in the last year or so, it's all still kind of lousy. I said before, that's the biggest problem for me with a lot of that woman stuff. Like, just it's not there's nothing there. I mean, so vapid. It is interesting when you directly ask them, "Do you want this?" and they say no, and then you see all these other people just have it like spitting out kids. Always by accident, every time. I was actually observing when I was getting some stuff out of my car yesterday morning. There was a lady and a baby that like pulled up in the parking lot on the adjacent side of the street, and I just found myself observing the lady. I was like, man, must be nice to you know have something resembling a semi normal life. I don't know. I just all I seem to hear about are people having kids and getting married or being with some partner or whatever. Like it never seems to escape me. Oh, your cousin has a boyfriend. Oh, your what is it? God sister just had a kid. Oh, it's like I every time I hear it, I'm just like, okay, okay, okay. I don't know. I just don't see this having a happy ending. I've said that before. But it's not even just like, oh, this person doesn't feel like going out and initiating anymore. It's when you look at patterns of stuff, right? And you start to see those early warning signs of, okay, this looks like it's going to be the exact same way that it's always been, or it's resembling this other thing that happened. Because I'm seeing that now, even with stuff that isn't meant to be that big of a deal. Like, you know, this thing of, oh, I don't do calls. Like, I'm tired of that. And I said that has bigger ramifications than just, oh, why are you so hung up over them not wanting to call? Because like because I know they're lying. I know when they want to actually talk to somebody, they call them. All these clowns sit on their phone all day long when they're on the break or whatever. But then when you want to speak to them on the phone, oh, I don't do that. Man, again, it's like who buys into this? Who believes this? I don't. But yeah, that was my point that there's bigger ramifications over them saying that than just why are you mad that this was like it I'm upset because I know that they're lying. And they're lying over something that really there's no reason to lie over. Like even if you didn't want to do one with me, just say it. I can't force you to. It's stupid. And that's why I said I can't look at this stuff and feel optimistic about the future of me and these individuals because it's like if you have this much trouble just getting basic things. Hey, can you send me back a message more than once or twice a day? Nope. Hey, can I call you? Nope. Like I said, what's even the point of asking somebody if they want to go do something if they can't even do that? Why bother? Now, one of my I mentioned during the three men stream that one of my coworkers called herself my friend, and I was it took everything I had not to burst out laughing. This is the same lady that has never attempted to contact me outside of when she wants to, something work related, right? So it's like, come on, let's not pretend that I'm someone or something that you even think about ever outside of when you're here or something related to here, I should say. But that's why I made the comment that it just seems like everything is based on a lie. I really like you, person I never try to talk to outside here. I really, really like you. You're so much fun to hang out with, person I never actually talk to or interact with at all outside of when I'm clocked into my job. Oh yeah. That's why I said next time one of them tries to say that they like me or smiles in my face or whatever, I'm just gonna roll my eyes. Like I said, I didn't even get to mention this new person, but it's the same thing of just like say one thing and then do the opposite of what that means. And even though it hasn't eroded to the extent that the other one did, because I'm not giving it the chance to reach that level, um, I still would try to just stay away. Like I'll speak when spoken to, hi, how are you, whatever. But all the previous playful banter and whatnot, that's done. Always supposed to give someone what they want and to hell with what you want. Mm. Always supposed to reach your hand out to give someone what they want, but never receive what you want. Tell you, I really live in the twilight zone. Like, hey, person who says they like me, can I call you? I don't even do call. Man, hey, person that says that you like me, can I send you a text message? Yeah, sure. One message later, how are you? No reply for the rest of the week. Oh man, just I don't know what anybody's even supposed to do with that. I guess you're just supposed to just keep trying and even and like I mentioned that one of my coworkers knows about the thing with me and the arch enemy, and um she made a comment about because she keeps trying to say it was romantic, even though I say it's not repeatedly over and over again. Oh, well, you're just never going to ask anyone else out. You're going to and then she, did the same thing these guys online do. But I said, like, I asked directly, do you not understand the gravity of what was done here? That you can't be betrayed like that and then just the next day or hell even the next week or next month go back to the way you were before. Like, I see that person that ran that knife through my chest several times a week, so it's not something I can just, out of sight, out of mind. I don't bother them, I don't mess with them. uh but I know what they did. I know they have no remorse for what they did. That's why I said people's expectations are just so bizarre to me. They want, but I said before, this is like a pattern I've noticed. People feel like they can do things to you and then also control how you respond to it. Person that called me lazy on Saturday, they get to say something like that to me, but when I start yelling at them for how stupid a comment like that is, uh, then suddenly I'm the one who's like at fault, who has done something wrong. I said it really just comes down to you can't say that a person is lazy for not working, but then when they start working, still use that as a form of insult. It doesn't make any sense. It's sad, man. Um, some most likely a spam call. Let me see. Uh, 949. Oh well, it's not been too important. I mean, it's whatever to me. I don't. There's a whole bunch of calls I don't even bother answering anymore. Well, if whatever they wanted was so important, they can just leave a voicemail. I learned that a long time ago. You get called by so many numbers from all over the place, and you answer the phone, they call you by a name that's not your own, or it's someone you know, or it's weird. I let them just ring and ring and ring. If they want to do a little strange stuff like that, let them. Mm. God, there's just so much to observe with this stuff. I'm not even kidding. Like when I watch the way that people act, sometimes I do just sit back and just let like listen to them as they talk, or see them speak to each other. I guess I could call it a social experiment. But really, I'm just fascinated in how, like, in an era where there's such a like brazen lack of humanity, where there's so much fakeness, so much stuff that's just not real. I just like to see how much can they convince themselves of it. Oh boy. Ah. No, I'm just fascinated by the way that people speak to each other and how they handle things. I said before, sometimes I'll go to somewhere and just like watch a couple walking together, or just the other people that are there, just like observe it. Because I genuinely am curious about how the dynamics of other families and you know individuals are. Just get like a little peek into their world, just and of course we may act different publicly from how we are privately. But I do like to see just what those exchanges are like, you know, who's outgoing, who's more reserved, who's running around, etc. Yeah, they're quite a fascinating group. Like I said, this is one of the worst eras I think of human beings in general, just the way that they act. And I say that because it's like in a lot of past times you had, like with ignorance, right? People didn't have computers; they couldn't just look stuff up. Um, so like there were built-in excuses for why someone might not know something, but now there's a lot of other issues that are kind of like on top of that one, where it's just me thinking, is this really the way it has to go? Is this really how we have to act? Is this really how we have to treat other human beings? Um, is it necessary to be this way? Thought about the woman that said she was going to report the guy for calling her a leprechaun. And I said, if someone was calling me something I didn't like, I like to believe that, and I have been called things at various points. But if it were at a job setting, I'd like to believe that I would be able to take the person, not physically, but just in a general way, and talk to him and say, "Hey, look, can you stop calling me this, please?" Because I think sometimes a person may say something and not know if it's offensive or bothering of you. And I do take again jobs and work and things like that very seriously, both in both directions, to where I would really hold off on trying to get someone in trouble over um just a thing that they're saying that they might not see as being as bothersome of me as it actually is. Because unless you tell people, a lot of times they don't know what's going through your mind. So I do think at least giving them a warning, like, "Hey, can you not do this?" is better than, "Well, I don't like this person, so time to tell." That's why I said they use these these like employee numbers or customer service or HR, whatever you want to call it. They use it like crying to the teacher. Like they won't even go to the manager and say, "Hey, can you not do that?" They'll go directly to the people that can throw you out of the job to like over this stuff. It's really crazy. So I'm just not surprised when I see the like quick turnaround from people and just how much antagonism they demonstrate towards others. It's another big shock to me. But really, that's always been the problem with a lot of these jobs. They just they hold the hands of their employees. They tell them it's okay to not be able to address the things that are bothering you with another person, like an actual adult. Don't worry, we'll take care of it for you. You can go and try and get this person fired because they said something you didn't like or uh stood by you or whatever. And I have no doubt in my mind some of them truly do it with malicious intent. Like I want him destroyed. Like they're the that's why I compare them to villains because you don't call up numbers like that for any other reason than I want you out of here. So that's why I said I just try to stay away from them. I said before, I got in the most trouble over being friendly. So if you couldn't cut it as a decent uh person, then you have to be an evil one. That's the only recourse. You have to be an evil one, or you have to be one that just ignores all of them. And I choose the latter because there's nothing to be gained from trying to be friendly to these people, or nice, or anything else you could describe as good. They don't treat you good. They see you as less than nothing. That's why they have no problem trying to get you in trouble or walking past you 100 times without saying a word. You just can't ever allow yourself to become convinced that a good chunk of these coworkers are anything other than potential destroyers, people who are not willing to, actually show any kind of concern for you. Uh, and they turn very quickly, almost in a cartoonish fashion. But anyways, I'm gonna get off of here because I mean we see the lack of chat, so I'll try to do Saturday morning. Again, it depends on if I'm how tired I am after the job. I hope I'm not too restless. But thanks for watching. Bye.